Hi, my name is Mrs. Painter. Welcome back to my channel. Last week we did the Apricot Barbecue Sauce. This week we're going to do our Rackin Rib Rub, which pairs perfectly with the Apricot Barbecue Sauce. I will have the recipe come up so you'll be able to see the recipe. And also, this is a product that I made when I worked at the Tanana Valley Farmers Market selling my sauces and my rub. And you can find the recipe as well, along with a lot of my other recipes in my cookbook, Cooking with Mrs. Painter, an Alaskan Experience. That's on Amazon. But for now, I'm going to give you the recipe and I'm going to show you how to make it. All right, so I like to make a lot of this at a time because we actually grill a lot and we like to use it. So let's start. We have a half cup of paprika. We have a quarter cup of ground black pepper. And some of y'all that aren't quite as sophisticated in the kitchen, say like canning, will appreciate this because anybody can make this. A quarter cup of celery salt. And it doesn't have to be perfect, I'm just loosely measuring. Okay, the next ingredient is a quarter cup of sugar, and you do not have to add the sugar. Since I published it in the recipe, I'm going to go ahead and add it, but it's not necessary. And in fact, if you're somebody that has problems with your blood sugar, my personal recommendation would be to just do the rub without the barbecue sauce. Our next ingredient is 4 tablespoons of chili powder. Rub is a great way to give meat flavor. And if you're not into eating meat, you don't actually have to put it on meat. You can put it on other types of protein that you consume as a vegetarian or a vegan. And you can even put it on vegetables and grill them and air fry them. So for our onion powder, actually I want to use garlic powder. Just one moment here, let's grab that. There we go. You can see I have large containers of seasonings because I do a lot of cooking, and it's always nice to know that you're stocked. And we have 2 tablespoons of garlic powder. And we're going to have 2 tablespoons of turmeric. All right, and this one's going to be a little harder because my spoon won't fit in there, so we're going to do what we do. When our spoon doesn't fit, we're going to actually measure it over a little container because we don't want to dump a whole bunch of anything in there. Okay, 2 tablespoons of curry. Now don't be surprised if you find yourself having to sneeze at some point because all these seasonings get a little bit airborne and they do stimulate your nose. So if you do, just take a break and step away. And we're going to do 2 tablespoons of our dehydrated onions from our garden. And you can use onion powder, you can use minced or chopped dried onions. And the reason I like to go with the minced dried onions is I find that it's more flavorful. So we're going to use our Pampered Chef blender here to give this a quick whirl. I'm using the smoothie cup. Now in Alaska, I didn't have a Pampered Chef blender, so what I actually used was a mortar and pestle, and that does work quite well. These aren't that expensive. This one's granite, and I actually really love this a lot. I still have it. Let's just give this a quick whirl in our blender. There we go, that was quite quick. It's amazing what you can do with these little smoothie cups on this blender. And we'll go ahead and use my little hairbrush here to Get all that powder out because we don't want to lose any of it. But I find if you grind the onions, you actually get a lot more flavor than just if you were to get onion powder. But onion powder is an option. All right, so now we need 2 teaspoons of cayenne pepper. And we need 2 teaspoons of nutmeg powder. And we're going to do that over our cup again. Now we're just going to combine all of this. Stirs together pretty easily. What I like to do with this rub is go ahead and season your meat overnight and let it just soak in the refrigerator. At a very minimum, I would at least season your meat 30 minutes before you cook it at a very minimum. And if you're making ribs, and I'll show pictures of the ribs that we made last week with our barbecue sauce. If you're making ribs, you want to go ahead, put the rub on, let the rub soak in, generously cover it with your barbecue sauce, and then go ahead and dust your ribs one more time with the rub, and then throw it on the grill. And we actually baked ours for 3 hours at 275, and I guess you wouldn't call it baking, we're on the Traeger, but they turned out really fabulous, and I'll have a picture of that as well. All right, so as far as storage goes on this, once again, I have this really great canning funnel. It makes it really easy to put product in jars. And so I have a couple of options here. I have this really nice Pampered Chef shaker, and it's wonderful because it makes it so easy to put the rub on whatever you're grilling. And again, the barbecue sauce and the rub is really great on salmon. That's kind of a surprise to most people, but true. It is a great addition to salmon. I don't want to put too much in here because I already have quite a bit. And then I also keep a large quart jar. We do grill quite a bit, so it's nice to have a lot of this. And then also I give it as gifts sometimes. Again, this canning funnel is great. Quart jar. I find glass to be a really nice way to store things too. All right, there we go. Let's see if we can fit this all in here. I hope we can. It's going to be close. We're going to just be able to fit this in. Well, it worked out perfectly. Between these 2 containers, I had just enough space to go ahead and add the rest of my rub in. I hope you enjoyed this recipe for Rackin Rib Rub, and thank you very much for following my channel, and I look forward to the next one. Thank you.